Hey YouTubers, what is up? This is Fernando over here live at the Oakwood Cemetery here in Austin, Texas. As promised, I was going to do a live ghost hunts here in the Austin area. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes and let everything build up in terms of just an audience, and then that way I can start here. Let me know if the sound is coming through all right. This phone picks up sound really, really well, really awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it just to sound on the phone. But if it gets too windy, like if you just keep hearing distractions from the wind, let me know because I brought my earbuds, and then that way it has a microphone in there and I can use that as well. I'm seeing some comments now here too. I don't think it lets me comment live for it. Like in other words, I can't reply back through characters, through letter characters, but at least I can see your comments and I can respond live in person, in other words. Yeah, I thought about doing it at night. The problem is the Oakwood Cemetery and every other cemetery here in Austin, it's closed. And pretty much if you go inside after the nighttime, then you're trespassing. So not really much I can do at that point. There's one area that I know of here in Austin, Garrison Park, that has a little mini cemetery. And it's open because it's a park. So you can go in even at night if you wanted to. And I was there the other day, but man, it was shady area. Like I don't want to be there, in other words, at night. So I halted it, and I postponed it at least for another time. All right, I'll give it one more minute. It looks like the sound is coming through fine. That's really good. And then I'll just start walking around. So basically the essence is I'm just going to be seeing some of the interesting cemeteries, and I'll be picking out the ones based on a book that I read, The Ghosts of Austin, that stand out in terms of what's haunted and what's not. But I'll give it one more minute and then I'll start it. How's everybody doing out there today? I just came from a breakfast there at Taco Cabana, my favorite breakfast when it comes to traveling around. The Taco Cabana breakfast combo, chorizo and eggs, and then I always get some steak fajita tacos. Those are the best. Let's see. No, just breakfast for myself. In this case, because I already saw my dad a little bit a while ago, so everything is all good there. But Taco Cabana, I love it because I always go everywhere. Whenever I travel anywhere in Texas, there's always a Taco Cabana around, and it's the best breakfast that I always have. All right, let's go ahead and let's start then. So in essence, let's just start walking around. Let me just do a quick panoramic view of this location. I'm over at the Oakwood Cemetery, but the annexed part, the newer part. So there's two parts here in Austin for the Oakwood Cemetery. First off, the Oakwood Cemetery is the oldest cemetery here in the Austin area. It is gigantic, absolutely gigantic. You have to be here in order to essentially truly gauge the how big this thing is. And it's right smack in the middle of Austin, which makes it very unique because everything here in Austin is being swallowed up alive by apartments, by condos, by buildings, by commercial property, even parking lots. But here, this land is protected. So right smack in the middle of Austin was probably the most valuable real estate around, easily within Texas, and yet this place is untouched, completely untouched. So this is the annex part. This is the newer part. And last time I was here, I actually went to the older part. I tried to go there right now, but the problem is there was someone out already there, construction, and then I saw some maintenance, some people I guess that provide the maintenance on the ground. So I went to this annex part, the newer part, which is less haunted, if you will, because it has newer cemeteries than the older ones. Keyword being annexed, meaning this land was absorbed sometime earlier or sometime later than the older cemetery, but still, at least in that case, it's still part of the same cemetery. So still part of the older cemetery, but the newer section. And so what's really interesting is these cemeteries you're going to see, they look a lot cleaner, a lot newer than anything else. as far as the older ones. But I'm gonna still try to showcase the stuff that stands out when it comes to being haunted. And then yes, cemeteries can still be haunted during the day. There's photos of people taking pictures of orbs, or they see these misty like gas, whatever is in front of their camera. So let me know if you see anything that stands out with regards to the cemetery. That'd be neat. Post it in the comments, and that way I could try to focus back on it. I can't see anything per se on my end, but if you see it through the camera, which seems to work even better, then that's really cool. So, but let's go ahead, let's start here. This is again the annex part, the newer part of the cemetery. So I'm just going to walk around and then start showcasing some of the stuff that stands out. But it's pretty creepy and interesting though at the same time, walking towards the cemetery and inside one, because it's very peaceful, it's very quiet. You don't have much interaction with anything. And in fact, like some of these here, these are probably the older ones. Generally, if they're towards the edge of a cemetery, they're the older ones. They're the ones that are filled up first. But let's go ahead and let's see if anything stands out. Like this one right here. First one that I came across. It looks like September 1859. My goodness. John Stelfox. And died 1930. Amazing to think about it, how somebody, this person was born in 1859, well over 150 years ago, and yet here they are, like to this day, still around, but at least on the tombstone side. If you're looking for the more haunted ones, it's supposed to be the ones that are more toppled, because the book I was reading stated that if there's any kind of tombstones that are toppled over, or tombstones that are just so deteriorated that they're basically on the ground, like this one right here, then at night particularly there's a good chance that there's more of a haunted area. I'm not going to touch anything on these, but you can see in this case that yeah, it is toppled over. The weather, the conditions over time, just essentially forced it to go over. I'm trying to keep my eyes out though, because the ones that are the most haunted are the ones that have unknown information on them. Like it's just like an unknown person, unknown soldier, that kind of stuff. Let me see if this one has anything. Oh yeah, it's got something. But yeah, I really wish I could do this at night, but no, these are locked tight, and they are inspected on a groundly basis whenever it comes to patrol, security, whatever is the case. I saw signs outside specifically stating nothing like that 100%, but stuff related to the grounds definitely being maintained at night. Now there are pictures that I've seen online where people have come up to this cemetery at night, but they're always on the outskirts, right outside the fence. In fact, you can see the fence outlining it here. It basically goes across the entire cemetery. But yeah, this stuff is very well maintained. So let's just rock over here randomly. Very hot out here today too. It's always Texas weather. This stuff is, I think it's close to 100 degrees right now. At least it has wind, and it's somewhat of a dry heat, but it's not too bad. Oh, I think some people are telling me to be careful, watch out. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm pretty. It's weird. Like all this time that I've done now, my ghost hunt's a little over a year now. Everything seems to be fine, and I think it's because maybe I can explain it right, but it's like I'm more interested on the scientific side with regards to these hunts than, let's say, the ghosts themselves. Like, I don't know, I guess the best way I can explain it is this stuff doesn't scare me. In other words, because I'm more fascinated by stuff like this existing rather than, say, trying to find the actual ghost or summon them or anything along those lines. Like if I see a ghost ever one day, I'd be more fascinated looking at it than running away scared, if that makes sense. So maybe that's why these ghosts don't seem to attack or prolong with me or anything like that, because they seem to feed off of fear, or they feed off of people that are more depressed or having bad thoughts or just basically having a bad time in life, but that's not me. So that's why, that being said, I know my limits on these things too. Like I mentioned on some of the other items, if there's stuff involving really hardcore, like demonic stuff, satanic stuff, I don't want to risk that stuff at the same time. So, oh, this one stands out. Let's take a look at this one. Interesting. These cemeteries, the ones that have the very intricate designs on them, they always stand out for me. You can see that it's basically like a monolith. Last name Nape. It looks like it's a family too. There are other Napes here as well. And this is part of their plot too. I wonder how much this stuff truly costs if you wanted to essentially be buried here. And I saw some passing by that were really, really large, but they were on the older side. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to touch those unless I walk all the way to the other part where the older section is. But what fascinates me is that I guess the people that have the very large tombstones, the intricate ones, the luxury ones, it kind of tells, of course, that they had a larger than life type aspect. You know, they were either well off or they were having some important status. But at the end of the day, no matter how big you are, you're going to still be on the same grounds as everyone else. Doesn't matter. And there was one that I passed by the other time. It was gigantic, absolutely gigantic. You could actually build like a storage shed, a large storage shed within it. And no doubt showing the prominence of this person, but now they're still there. Like they're there on the ground, and nobody seems to visit them these days. So no matter how big you are with this stuff in your life, it's all about what people think of you afterward. And in that case, nobody has visited that person probably for a long, long time. Another area I'm trying to keep an eye out are the unmarked graves, the ones that, because the book said they're towards the edge. So let's go ahead and let's walk towards the edge. I'll just pick this edge over here of the fence, see if there's any unmarked graves, because those are the ones that have the purported more haunted stance than the other ones. Is everything still coming through fine? Like in terms of the sound, in terms of the video? I was watching the one for Wells Fargo the other day, and it looks like it comes through at 360, whatever the resolution is for 360. I don't think this phone can take much better resolution live, at least. But at least in the daytime, it's supposed to be much better. Okay, yeah, it looks like things are coming through good. Somewhat okay, I guess. Oh, let me pan on this to show you like how close this is to pretty much the entire world. That right there in the distance is the UT baseball, one of those stadiums. It's not the football stadium, but it's one of those. But yes, basically it's next door to it. And then right across the street, that starts the mega corporation. I call it a corporation known as UT. They call themselves a school, nonprofit, but when you have $25 billion in liquid cash, larger than most countries out there in this world, you're a corporation at that point. So it shows you again how close everything is to there. Oops, it's coming out of focus. Okay, much better. Where was I? Oh yes, we're going to the edge over here. I do see it. You're right. Somebody said it was looking a little bit laggy. I think it's weird. Like during the daytime, it's capturing the resolution, but it seems to be creating more of a lag because of the better resolution. But one sacrifice for another, I guess. Oh, look at this one. I'm gonna zoom in on this one right now. Oh, I thought that was... Is that a dog? Let's see. Harold Johnson, born 1913, died 1937. You're right, it looks like it's a lamb. So they died relatively young. My goodness, they died in their 20s. It's crazy when you think about it. Like, what would have caused someone to die that young? Sickness, or maybe some disease, who knows? But they definitely had an affiliation with some kind of lamb. Ah, here's another one. Let's go over here. Same thing, it's a lamb. Sonny Harold James, 1928, 1937, also relatively young. My goodness, just less than, what, 10 years age? Oh, is that right? Is it a motif? Is it supposed to be something like I guess like an omen or some good thing associated with being buried? But yeah, my goodness, only 9 years old and then they passed away. You can see I'm already getting to the edge of the other side of this cemetery. It's a smaller portion. The other one is much, much larger. And there it is. There's Austin in the background. You can see it in all of its glory. There's the Frost Tower, or the Superman Tower, as they like to call it, because of the spires on top. At night, you should see it when it lights up. I call it the Superman's Fortress because it looks exactly like the Crystal Towers or the Ice Towers that he has. Oh, well, thank you for that info. So apparently a lamb is supposed to represent a child's death. Interesting. By the way, 10 years ago, those buildings, or 20 years ago, most of those buildings were not there. Austin has absolutely grown. It still is the fastest growing city for years on end here. And then the county right next door, Hayes County, is the fastest growing county in the U.S. for several years in a row as well. It's very expensive here, at least for our end. Because on the home side, I was reading an article. The average Austin home now is over $400,000, which I know in other portions of the U.S. that's budget size, but here, no, it's much more expensive because of the cost of living. By the way, there was a church right next door as well. Kind of interesting, where I parked my car, because here you have a cemetery full of the dead, and then you have a church that is right next door to it. Oh, here's another info. These are the ones that always stand out. Now it says their birth year, but I don't see anything else. Interesting that they have a flower right there growing. Apologies if it goes out of focus. It's trying to capture something that's not there, you know. I just noticed the other flowers. Each one of them has a specific flower listed on them. Oh my goodness, look at this one. born July 12th, and then ended up dying December 12th, 1912. These fascinate me too. Like they have just initials on them, but nothing else. Unless these markers, because I see these on some other places as well. But if those are the initials CR, then maybe that stands for that. Coleman Roy. That's not good, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, very windy out here today. In a little bit, I'm just gonna sit down somewhere. Oops, going out of focus. Okay, there. I'm gonna sit down somewhere, and then we'll just chit chat for a little bit. So far, I don't see anything, but again, I'm not expecting much during the daytime. I think I'm gonna go back to the Garrison Park area later on, some nights, and then take that chance. You should have seen it when I was there. Imagine walking into a completely pitch black forest. Because I thought it was a park at night. You're supposed to be lights. There's supposed to be people. Very large lights to allow people to walk around, because we have a lot of Austinites here that run at night. Oh, it's still getting out of focus. Okay, that's better. Wow. Started trying to capture something, but it's not letting me. Okay, that's better. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So I thought it was going to be a place where people just go, they run at night, and then they have all the lights available for it. But no, it did not have that. It was just completely pitch black. And the area that had the little mini cemetery, of course, would be right smack dab in the middle of it. And while I enjoy like some parts of Austin, I don't think Garrison Park is a place you want to be at night, essentially. Especially like if the lights were on, yes, but if everything was pitch black as it was, you want to risk that kind of stuff. But I might try it again later on if I can bring something, maybe a flashlight or something along those lines. Thinking about doing another ghost hunt here in Austin. Another place that I went to before, but I didn't cross over to a certain area. And it's a place up north near Palmer Lane. It's by a bridge, an underpass. If you go under it, there's a railroad that crosses it, and apparently by the curve of that railroad, that's where they have some haunted stuff, because it used to be a road that people would drive by, but during the mist, during foggy nights or foggy days, they would take that curve too fast, and so they would topple themselves over, and that led to a couple of deaths. Yeah, this stuff is really going out of focus just randomly. Oh, look at this one. It looks like it was resting originally, but then through the passage of time, that tree helped knock it over. Like, it must have been a much smaller tree or non-existent tree, and then it just grew, and then it just toppled that base over, which in turn toppled the top part over. Crazy when you think about it. The power of plants. Nothing, like, they won't stop at anything. Even the hardest material, they'll still go through. Oh wow, look at this one. Husband and wife. Let's see, he ended up dying in 1950, and then she died in 1958. So just a little bit while after. You hear about that with couples that stay married for the longest time. One passes away, and then it's not long for the other one to pass away. And in this case, they buried right next to each other. I wonder if that's their urn, too. No, most likely it's just for family to come by and put flowers in it, I guess. I'll visit that one in the far ground here in a minute. You see it standing out? That's a huge one right there. If this ends up being way too laggy, what I might end up doing, but then it kind of cuts out the live notion, is recording this on my phone, because I have dozens of gigabytes to work with on video, and that way I can capture it crystal clear, but then you lose the live portion of it. So I don't know, it looks like still things are pretty good. See how quick time goes? It's already 26 minutes past. So I was originally thinking about doing this just half an hour, but no, this is pretty fun. So in fact, there's a good spot right there. Just gonna rest right here just for a few minutes. Oh, look at this one. Look what they have resting. A little mini Buddha. Interesting. Now there was one very nice tombstone that I saw on the older one, where they had a very fancy, intricate bench you could rest on, and you could have they had like a top as well. It's way on the other side over there, so I don't think I'm gonna go back to that one. But it goes to show that their plan was anybody that wanted to come there could just rest on the sign. Alright, I'm just gonna stay sitting down here for just a few minutes. Let me know if y'all have any questions. I'll try to answer anything in the meantime. I can't see the past questions or stuff on this feed, because once the questions come up on my screen, or once the bubbles come up with your comments on my screen, they go up and then they disappear. So, but I can't unfortunately see anything else. Oh, the old face reveal. I don't know, maybe there might be something where, and I'm making some plans from it. I'm just waiting on a confirmation. I'm going back to Vegas sometime later this year, and I'm going to try to do a ghost hunt live with a group there that's called That's the Spirit Paranormal. And so I'm going to try to help them grow their audience. And if they bring me along towards one of their trips, because I don't have a rental car when I'm there, I don't travel really outside of Vegas, but they would have transportation since they live there. If they bring me on one of their trips, then I'll be Facebook streaming and YouTube streaming live. And so that'll be a good opportunity, but I guess we'll see with regards to that. But again, you're not missing much when it comes to my face. Guys are not handsome anyways, so you're not missing much on that part. And the whole focus is to make sure that it's about this, not about me, but about this experience. I think I saw another question about cryptid hunts. I would love to. The problem is there's no confirmed place really here in Texas that has a known cryptid. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, like chupacabra, obviously, but where? Like, where is the chupacabra? Where is it specifically? What if it was a bridge that people are found at? If it was something like a specific intersection, that'd be awesome. I would go there all day long, but all I can go by is the notion that it's somewhere here in Texas, but that's it. So if someone has any more ideas about a specific GPS type location for these cryptids here in Texas, that would be really cool. But then again, that would defeat the purpose of it being a cryptid and mysterious and gone. Near Mexico? No way. No way. The farthest I go is San Antonio, and that's it. I don't go anywhere past that. And it's sad because there's a lot of great stuff, both on the cryptids and the ghost side, that are further closer to Mexico. Like El Paso has a bunch of stuff. Mesquite, Texas has a bunch of stuff. Nuevo Laredo has fantastic stuff as well, but no way, not like the way things are at the border, with all the violence and all the mayhem. No, thank you. So the furthest I ever go is San Antonio, and that's about it. Well, maybe Galveston, like Corpus Christi, but that's more towards the east rather than, let's say, going towards the Mexico border. But no, you'll never catch me on the clear to the border side. And I used to live actually in Mexico. Oh, helicopter! You see that? Yes, I used to live in Mexico when I was younger, and it was a different time back then. Nowadays, you can't live in Mexico at all for the touristy areas, but even then, those are troublesome spots now. All right, let's get back up here. Bunnyman Bridge. I saw that, and the Ghost Adventures guys, or was it the Goatman? I can't remember. It was one of those bridges that they went to. I want to go to one of those, sure. If things work out, sure, I'll be able to try to do that and do it live. I heard though that bridge is pretty hard to get to. Like, it's there, but it's not like you can just drive up to it. Like, you have to go into some off-roading type stuff. I don't know if my little Chevy Spark will do it. Oh wow, common sight here. Lots of little angels. Yeah, something is up, because this thing just keeps changing focus when it shouldn't. Like, this is broad daylight. Clearly the camera is trying to focus on something that is closer than it looks like on the lens. Wow, 1887. By the way, the older section, because again this is a new one, the annex section, but the older section, those go to like the 1830s, somewhere around there, and that's because that's when this area was first being colonized. So you won't see any gravestones from the 1700s because nobody was here during that time, at least nobody from I guess the more modern era. All right, let's go to the big one over here. Remember I was mentioning earlier, prominence. No doubt this person was huge in life, and now they're just sitting there in a grave. Nobody comes visit them anymore. Brookdale Haunted Lodge? I don't know. I have to look more info. I never heard of that one. If it's like those places, like those hotels slash old places that are haunted, I don't know if I can walk in on those just as is. I think you have to be a guest, but I'll double check on that. So this is rather, gigantic. Of course, it looks like I'm not even going to touch the doors because those are going to be locked. It's fascinating. No doubt this person is buried in there right now. And if someone comes in, they probably have to have permission or a key or something to go in. But that's it. That's where this person stands now. Never heard of this person rather being somebody prominent in the Austin area. There are a couple of families here that have a prominent name, but I never heard of rather having one. Oh look, they even have a window in the back. Interesting. And it's locked up, like it's boarded up. Oh, you can even see. It has that stained glass. Hopefully you can see it somewhat there. So if the light hits it at a perfect spot, then it'll come forward. Oh, it keeps getting out of focus. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, that's better. Oh, this stands out. Never see these, really. A black tombstone, solid black. Look, it even has an inscription. In times of danger, the brave move forward, sometimes to death, but always to victory. Does anybody know what the significance is? If you have, let's say, a black tombstone, or is that just preference? But that definitely stands out. You don't see that around. Maybe it's from a different material. Or maybe it's just more expensive. Who knows? And look at that. They already have someone else planned for it. So there's Martha, who died originally, and then that's presumably the husband. Uh-oh. Looks like we have some prominence here in this area. Look at that. We have some Kennedys and some Johnsons. Interesting. Never knew any Kennedys were around our area here. Of course, in Texas, there's a prominent time and place for what happened to the Kennedys, but not in the Austin area. And then Johnson LBJ, who of course has multiple areas here named after him in Texas. He actually went to Texas State University, or what was used to be San Marcos University. Only president, I believe, to graduate from a school here in Texas. Somebody point me out though, because there have been multiple presidents that have come from Texas, and I think it's the most nationwide, but it's the only president that actually graduated from a school as well here in Texas. Let's see, what else stands out? Nothing too much on the haunted tombstone side. Like, the stuff you're supposed to look for are the stuff that says unknown soldier, or the ones that I was mentioning earlier that are toppled over, or the ones that tore in from the inside. This area also is newer, but it means that there are less grave robberies. That's why this place is also monitored at night, because the older section, the older section across the street over there, and I'll zoom in on that again, that used to have a lot of frequent grave robberies, and so you would see the tombstones ramshackled. You would see them broken into, and they were left as is, and the family never took care of them afterwards, so they just stayed as is. So those are the ones that are supposed to be more haunted because they were disturbed. Somebody went in, obviously without permission, stole a bunch of their stuff from the grave, and then left, and then because they were never taken care of afterward, then that was it. You see how it keeps going out of focus? I don't get that. Let me try to zoom in. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust something. No, it doesn't really work. Okay. I think I'll give it maybe 5 more minutes, and then I'll wrap it up for this go around. But this is fun. I like this. And I'm doing this too, just for my Comic Cons. You'll see me walking around during a live tour of the Comic Cons. So I wish I could have done this for the Texas Frightmare, and then also the Famous Monsters convention that I was at. But oh well. But at least now I know that this stuff works perfect, and then that way you'll get to see my trips to the Comic Cons live as well. Here's a good shot. So right over here, you'll see that you'll cross a road, and then it'll go towards another road, and then that's towards the end. That's where the older section of the cemetery is, and then you can see somewhat of the U.S. Capitol. Of our state capitol there. Interesting little facts about the Capitol Congress Avenue, which leads right to it. If you go from South Congress to North Congress, you'll see it, and it'll just be one straight line. Towards the end of it, you'll see the actual Capitol. Not the Capitol by law, not obstructed from the view of that street. One last section. We'll go over here then. Oh wow, this stands out. Look at this. Daddy and Mama. Isn't that crazy? Those are the tombstones. And then look at these. Papa and Mama. Those are these tombstones as well. Crazy, right? Oh, look at that. It expands even further. My husband and mother. Oh, it needs to focus. Okay, there we are. None of these have names. There's this one. Their daddy in June. And then one last set. Mama, wife. Never seen that before, ever. Oh, it's still going out of focus. Alright, let me see. Right? I think if they would go to the expense of it, that they would put like the names and the dates, but no, some people like, I guess, want to keep it that way. Oh, look at this one. It's neat to walk to a gravesite and the design. No two gravestones are the same. Still going out of it. Alright, it's this one over here. Looks like a giant log. Oh, it's so out of focus. Sorry, I'm gonna turn this around, see if I can focus on something. I'm just gonna go in. That'll do it. Okay. One giant log in a memoriam woodman circle. So whoever that was, they were a pretty prominent person, I guess, with that organization. If the entire gravestone is just one giant log, we're supposed to mimic a giant log. Crazy. Alright, I think this will wrap it up then. But yeah, thank you so much, folks, everybody. This was great. I loved it. So, another live one for you here. Thank you for the questions. And then I'll continue to take announcements when I have something up, especially when it comes to, let's say, the Comic Cons or other future ghost hunts. And then maybe next time I'll go across the area over there and maintenance there at the same time. And then do a ghost hunt there. And I'll try to go the Garrison area too at night. That'd be really creepy. And have to use lights, but it'll be very interesting. So, alright, everybody. Thanks again, as always. Getting a bad connection, so it's time for me to go. So, have a good day. Thank you again for your viewership, and I'm gonna look forward to doing this soon. So, have a good day, everybody.